Danny Martinez pressed his nose against the cold window of the space station as their family ship slowly docked. The 8-year-old boy had never seen anything like this before. The trading station was huge, bigger than 3 city blocks put together. Bright lights flashed everywhere, and strange ships of all shapes and sizes moved around like busy bees. "Stay close to me, Danny," his older sister Lisa said as she checked her tablet. She was 16 and always acted like she was in charge when their parents were busy. "Mom and Dad are dealing with the docking fees. We need to get fuel and supplies, then we leave in 2 hours." Danny nodded, but his eyes were still glued to the window. He could see aliens walking around outside, real aliens. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had skin that looked like rocks. A few had wings folded on their backs. This was his first time visiting an intergalactic trading station, and everything seemed like a dream. The Martinez family lived on their cargo ship called the Starward Bound. Danny's father Roy was the captain, and his mother Helen was the navigator. They carried supplies between different planets and space colonies. It was not glamorous work, but it paid the bills and let them travel the galaxy together. "Come on, Danny," Lisa said, grabbing his hand. "The sooner we finish our business, the sooner we can explore a little." They walked through the airlock and onto the station. The artificial gravity felt different from their ship. The air smelled like metal and strange spices. Sounds echoed from everywhere. Alien voices mixed with the noise of machinery and the hum of energy weapons. The main corridor was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above them. Shops and stalls lined both sides of the walkway. Aliens of every type imaginable sold their goods. Some offered glowing fruits that moved by themselves. Others had weapons that sparkled with energy. A few sold books that seemed to write themselves as Danny watched. "This way," Lisa said, pulling him toward a fuel depot. "We need to get the best price for our fuel. Dad always says every credit counts in this business." They stopped at a stall run by a creature that looked like a giant octopus wearing a business suit. The alien's tentacles moved in complex patterns as it talked. Lisa pulled out her tablet and began negotiating prices. She was good at this kind of work. Just like their father. Danny listened for a while, but the conversation was boring. Numbers and fuel grades and shipping routes meant nothing to him. He looked around at all the interesting things happening nearby. A group of robot soldiers marched past. A merchant was selling pets that looked like flying jewels. 2 aliens were arguing in a language that sounded like music. "I need to check 3 more fuel dealers," Lisa told the octopus alien. "I will be back in 30 minutes with my decision." As they walked away from the fuel stall, Danny saw something that made him stop. In a dark corner of the main corridor, far from the bright lights and busy crowds, an old alien sat behind a small table. The creature looked like a lizard that had learned to walk on 2 legs. Its skin was covered in scars, and one of its eyes was cloudy with age. On the table were several small cages. Most of them were empty. A few held tiny creatures that barely moved. Some of the cages held nothing but bones. "What is that place?" Danny asked, pointing toward the corner. Lisa looked and frowned. "That is probably an exotic animal dealer. Dad told me about places like that. They sell rare creatures to collectors. Most of the time, the animals are not treated well. We should stay away from there." But Danny was already walking toward the corner. Something had caught his attention. In the smallest cage, no bigger than a shoebox, something was moving. As he got closer, he could see what it was. A tiny dragon. Danny had seen pictures of dragons in storybooks, but this was real. The little creature was no bigger than his hand. Its scales changed color as the light hit them, shifting from deep purple to silver to gold. It had delicate wings that looked like they were made of glass. One wing was clearly broken, hanging at a wrong angle. The baby dragon lay on its side, breathing slowly. Its eyes were closed, and it looked very sick. Danny could see that it was. In pain. "You like creature, human child?" the old lizard alien said in broken English. Its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Very rare, very special, from forbidden sectors of galaxy. Not many left in universe. Danny knelt down to get a better look at the dragon. The little creature opened its eyes and looked right at him. The dragon's eyes were the most beautiful thing Danny had ever seen. They were like tiny stars, bright and full of intelligence. "Is it hurt?" Danny asked. The alien laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Creature is fine. Just tired from long journey. Wing will heal in time. You want to buy? Very cheap for human child. Only 4 credits. Danny reached into his pocket and felt the crumpled bills there. $4. It was all the money he had in the world. He had been saving it for weeks to buy a new game module for his tablet. He had looked at that game module every day in the ship's catalog, counting the days until he would have enough money. But, looking at the little dragon, Danny forgot all about the game. The creature was suffering. Its broken wing needed help. The cage was too small and dirty. The alien obviously did not care about the dragon's health. "Danny, what are you doing?" Lisa called from behind him. She had finished talking to another fuel dealer and was looking for him. "I told you to stay away from that place." "Lisa, look," Danny said, pointing at the dragon. "It is hurt. Look at its wing." Lisa came closer and saw the tiny creature. Her expression changed from annoyance to concern. "Oh, Danny, it does look hurt, but we cannot get involved. These exotic animal dealers are dangerous, and we do not know anything about taking care of dragons." "But it will die if no one helps it," Danny said. He could see that the dragon was getting weaker. Its breathing was becoming more shallow. The old alien watched their conversation with interest. "Human children have good hearts," it said, "but creature is expensive to care for. Needs special food, special medicine. Not good pet for children. Maybe better to let nature take course." Danny looked at the dragon again. The little creature was looking back at him with those star-bright eyes. It was as if the dragon was asking for help. Danny had never felt such a strong urge to help something in his entire life. "How much did you say?" Danny asked. 4 credits, the alien replied. "But I warn you, human child, this creature is dangerous when grown. Its kind has powerful abilities. Galactic Council has laws about keeping such creatures." Danny did not care about laws or danger. All he could see was a hurt animal that needed help. He pulled the 4 crumpled bills from his pocket, his entire allowance. All the money he had been saving for so long. "Danny, no," Lisa said. "Mom and Dad will be furious. We do not know how to care for a dragon. What if it gets sick? What if it grows too big for the ship?" But Danny was already handing the money to the alien. "I will take care of it," he said. "I will learn how." The alien took the money and smiled, showing sharp yellow teeth. "Very good. Creature is yours now. But remember my warning. When dragon grows, it will not be same helpless creature you see now." The alien opened the small cage and carefully lifted out the tiny dragon. It placed the creature in a slightly larger transport container with air holes. The dragon did not struggle or try to escape. It just looked at Danny with those incredible eyes. "What have you done?" Lisa whispered as Danny took the container. Danny held the transport box close to his chest. He could feel the dragon's tiny heartbeat through the walls. "I saved its life," he said simply. As they walked back toward their ship, Danny looked down at the little dragon through the air holes. The creature was still looking at him, And Danny thought he saw something like gratitude in those starry eyes. He had no idea that his $4 purchase would change not just his life, but the entire galaxy. Danny hurried through the corridors of the Starward Bound, carrying the transport container carefully in his arms. His heart was beating fast. He needed to get to his room before his parents saw what he had bought. Lisa followed behind him, looking, worried and angry at the same time. "This is a terrible idea, Danny," she whispered as they walked past the kitchen area. "What are you going to tell Mom and Dad when they find out?" "They will not find out," Danny said, but even he did not sound sure. "At least not right away. I just need time to help the dragon get better." They reached Danny's small bedroom at the back of the ship. It was not much bigger than a closet, but it had everything an 8-year-old boy needed. A bed, a small desk, and shelves full of books and toys. Danny set the transport container on his desk and opened it carefully. The tiny dragon was still lying on its side, breathing slowly. Up close, Danny could see how beautiful the creature really was. Its scales were like tiny mirrors, reflecting light in amazing colors. The dragon's body was perfectly formed, like a work of art, but the broken wing made Danny's heart hurt to look at. "What do dragons eat?" Lisa asked, looking over his shoulder. "I do not know," Danny admitted, "but I will figure it out." He went to his computer terminal and started searching the ship's database. There were thousands of files about different alien species, but very little about dragons. Most of the information was just legends and stories. Finally, he found a scientific article about reptilian species that might be similar. "Look," Danny said, pointing at the screen. "It says here that most small reptilian creatures eat protein and need water. Some of them like warm places to rest." Danny went to the kitchen and found some synthesized protein paste. It did not look very good, but it was what they ate when fresh food ran out. He also filled a small bowl with water and brought both back to his room. The dragon had not moved. Danny was starting to worry that it might be dying. He dipped his finger in the water and let a tiny drop fall near the dragon's mouth. The creature's tongue came out and licked the water. It was a good sign. "At least it is still alive," Lisa said. Danny took a tiny piece of the protein paste and held it near the dragon's nose. The creature sniffed and then opened its mouth slightly. Danny fed it the small piece of food. The dragon ate it slowly, but did not refuse it. "I think it is hungry," Danny said, feeling hopeful for the first time since buying the dragon. Over the next hour, Danny fed the dragon tiny amounts of food and water. The creature seemed to get a little stronger. It lifted its head and looked around Danny's room with curious eyes. When Danny spoke to it, the dragon turned its head toward his voice. "I think it understands me," Danny said. "Dragons are supposed to be very smart," Lisa said. "But Danny, what about its wing? It needs medical help." Danny looked at the dragon's broken wing. He had no idea how to fix it, but he knew he had to try. He went to the ship's medical bay and found a small first aid kit. Inside were bandages, antiseptic, and thin metal strips used for making splints. When he returned to his room, Danny spoke softly to the dragon. "I am going to help your wing," he said. "It might hurt a little, but I will be very gentle." The dragon looked at him with those amazing eyes and did not try to move away. It was as if the creature trusted him completely. Danny carefully cleaned the wing area with antiseptic. The dragon made a small sound, but did not struggle. Then Danny used the thin metal strips to make a tiny splint. He had watched his mother fix his own broken arm 2 years ago when he fell off a loading platform. The process was similar, just much smaller. He wrapped the wing gently with soft bandages, making sure the dragon could still breathe easily. "There," Danny said when he finished. "That should help it heal." The dragon tried to move its wing, and seemed surprised that it did not hurt as much. It looked at Danny and made a soft chirping sound, almost like it was saying thank you. "I think I will call you Luna," Danny said. "Your scales shine like the moon." Luna seemed to like the name. She chirped again and tried to stand up. She was wobbly at first, but after a few minutes she was able to move around the transport container. Danny made a comfortable nest for her, using soft blankets from his bed. Luna curled up in the nest and closed her eyes. For the first time since buying Luna, Danny smiled. Maybe this would work out after all, but his happiness did not last long. 10 minutes later, he heard heavy footsteps in the corridor outside his room. His father was coming back from dealing with the station authorities. "Danny? Lisa? Where are you kids?" Roy Martinez called. Danny quickly closed the transport container and pushed it under his desk. "In here, Dad," he called back, trying to sound normal. Roy Martinez entered the room. He was a big man with kind eyes and hands that were always dirty, from working on the ship's engines. He looked tired from negotiating with the station officials. "How was your trip to the trading station?" he asked. "It was good," Danny said quickly. "Very interesting." Roy noticed that Danny seemed nervous. "Everything okay, son? You look worried about something." "No, Dad. Everything is fine." Lisa was standing behind their father, and Danny could see she was struggling with whether to tell the truth. She had always been honest with their parents about everything. "Dad," Lisa said finally, "Danny bought something at the station." Danny's heart sank. He glared at his sister, but he knew she was doing what she thought was right. "What did you buy, Danny?" Roy asked, sitting down on the bed. Danny did not answer right away. He could hear Luna moving around inside the container under his desk. He hoped his father would not notice the sound. "Show me," Roy said gently. Danny had no choice. He pulled the container out from under his desk and opened it. Roy looked inside, and his expression changed completely. "Danny," he said slowly, "is that a dragon?" "A baby dragon," Danny said quickly. She was hurt, and the alien was not taking care of her properly. Her wing was broken, and she was dying. Roy stood up and ran his hands through his hair. This was what he always did when he was trying to figure out what to do about a difficult situation. "Son, do you have any idea how much trouble this could cause us?" Exotic animals are regulated by the Galactic Council. Some species are completely banned. We could lose our trading license. We could even go to prison. "But Dad, she was dying," Danny said, tears starting to form in his eyes. "I could not just leave her there." Roy looked at his son, and then at the tiny dragon in the container. Luna was looking up at him with those incredible star-bright eyes. Even Roy had to admit the creature was beautiful. "How much did you pay for it?" Roy asked. $4, Danny said quietly. "All of my allowance money." Roy sat back down on the bed. "You spent everything you had to save this creature?" Danny nodded. "I was saving for a new game, but Luna needed help more than I needed the game." Roy was quiet for a long time. He looked at Luna, who was now standing up in her nest and chirping softly. The dragon seemed to be trying to communicate with him. "Helen needs to see this," Roy said finally. "We need to make a family decision about what to do." 20 minutes later, both of Danny's parents were in his room looking at Luna. Helen Martinez was the ship's navigator and the smartest person Danny knew. She was also the one who made most of the important decisions for their family. "She is beautiful," Helen said, watching Luna eat tiny pieces of protein paste. "And she seems very intelligent. The question is what we do now," Roy said. "We cannot just turn around and take her back to that alien. She would probably die. But we also cannot keep an illegal exotic animal on our ship," Helen said. "If the authorities find out, we could lose everything." Danny looked at his parents with desperate eyes. "Please," he said, Give me a chance to take care of her. If she gets too big or causes problems, I will find her a good home. But right now she needs help." Luna seemed to understand that they were talking about her future. She looked at each of the adults and made soft chirping sounds, as if she was pleading her own case. Helen and Roy looked at each other. They had been married for 20 years and could communicate without words. Finally, Helen sighed. "We will. Try it for now," she said. "But Danny, you are completely responsible for Luna. You feed her, clean up after her, and make sure she does not cause any problems. If she gets sick or grows too big for the ship, we will have to find her a new home." Danny's face lit up with joy. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. I promise I will take good care of her." Over the next few days, as the Starward Bound traveled toward their next destination, Danny spent every free moment caring for Luna. The little dragon grew stronger each day. Her appetite improved, and she began exploring Danny's room when he only let her out of the container. Luna was incredibly smart. She learned her name within 2 days. She figured out how to open simple containers to get food. She even seemed to understand when Danny told her to be quiet during the times when other people were on the ship. Most amazing of all, Luna seemed to genuinely like Danny. When he entered his room, she would chirp with happiness and climb onto his shoulder. When he was sad or worried, she would nuzzle against his neck with her soft scales. It was like having the most perfect pet in the universe. But Danny was beginning to realize that Luna was much more than just a pet. There was something special about her, something that made him feel like they were meant to be together. 3 months had passed since Danny bought Luna at the trading station. The tiny dragon had grown much bigger during that time. She was now the size of a house cat, with wings that could actually lift her off the ground for short flights around. Danny's room. Her broken wing had healed perfectly, and her scales had become even more beautiful as she grew. Luna had become part of the Martinez family. She followed Danny everywhere he was allowed to go on the ship. She sat on his shoulder while he did his homework. She curled up next to him when he read books before bed. She even learned to eat at the dinner table without making a mess, though she still preferred to eat from Danny's hand. The most amazing thing about Luna was how smart she had become. She could open doors by turning the handles with her claws. She understood when Danny's parents called for family meetings. She even seemed to know when the ship was approaching a new planet or space station, becoming excited hours before anyone else noticed they were slowing down. "She is almost like she can read our minds," Helen said one evening as they watched Luna help Danny organize his books. The dragon seemed to know exactly which books Danny wanted and would bring them to him. "Dragons are supposed to be very intelligent," Roy said. "But Luna seems smarter than most of the aliens we meet at trading stations." Danny was proud of how well Luna was doing, but he was also starting to worry. She was growing fast, and their ship was not very big. Soon she would be too large for his bedroom. What would they do then? The Starward Bound was approaching a mining colony called New Haven. It was a rough place where miners dug valuable metals out of asteroids. The colony had been having problems with space pirates lately, so there were lots of security ships in the area. "We will be docking in 2 hours," Roy announced over the ship's communication system. "Everyone needs to stay on the ship while we unload our cargo. This is not a safe place for civilians to walk around." Danny was disappointed. He had hoped to show Luna a real planet with trees and open sky. New Haven was just another space station, built inside a giant asteroid. But at least Luna would get to see something new through the window's dot. As they approached the docking bay, Luna became very agitated. She paced around Danny's room and made worried chirping sounds. Her scales changed color rapidly, shifting from silver to dark blue to red. "What is wrong with her?" Lisa asked, watching Luna through the doorway. "I do not know," Danny said. She has never acted like this before. Luna flew to the small window in Danny's room and pressed her face against the glass. She was looking at the security ships flying around outside. Her whole body was tense, like she was afraid of something. The docking process went smoothly, and Roy began unloading their cargo with the help of the colony workers. Danny stayed in his room with Luna, trying to calm her down. But the dragon would not relax. She kept looking out the window and making unhappy sounds. Then Danny heard heavy footsteps in the corridor outside. Someone was boarding their ship. He heard his father talking to strangers in voices that sounded official and serious. "Martinez family?" a deep voice said. "I am Commander Jake Phillips of the Galactic Peacekeepers. We need to speak with you about some reports we have received." Danny's heart started beating faster. Luna seemed to understand that something bad was happening. She flew to Danny and landed on his shoulder, pressing close to his neck. "Danny, Lisa, come out here, please." Their mother called. Danny and Lisa walked to the main cabin where their parents were talking to three people in official uniforms. Commander Phillips was a tall man with gray hair and kind but serious eyes. The other two peacekeepers were younger and carried scanning equipment. "We are investigating reports of illegal exotic animal trafficking in this sector," Commander Phillips said. "Someone at the trading station where you stopped 3 months ago reported that a human family purchased a restricted creature." Danny felt like his stomach had dropped into his feet. He tried to keep his expression normal, but Luna was trembling on his shoulder. "We run a legitimate cargo business," Roy said carefully. "We do not deal in exotic animals." Commander Phillips looked directly at Danny. "Son, is there something you would like to tell us? We have scanners that can detect non-human life forms on ships. If you are hiding something, we will find it anyway." Danny looked at his parents. His father nodded slightly, which meant Danny should tell the truth. The Martinez family had always been honest with authorities, even when it was difficult. "I bought Luna at the trading station," Danny said quietly. "She was hurt and dying. I used my allowance money to save her." "Luna?" Commander Phillips asked. Danny reached up and gently lifted Luna from his shoulder. The dragon looked at the peacekeepers with her bright eyes, but did not try to escape or hide. When Commander Phillips saw Luna, his expression changed completely. His eyes went wide, and he took a step backward. The other two peacekeepers also stared at the dragon like they had seen a ghost. "Dear God," Phillips whispered. "Do you have any idea what you have there?" "A dragon," Danny said, confused by the man's reaction. "A baby dragon." Phillips pulled out a small scanner and pointed it at Luna. The device made several beeping sounds and displayed information on a small screen. Phillips read the information, and his face became very pale. "Son," he said slowly, "what you have there is not just any dragon. Those scale patterns, that bone structure, the way her wings are shaped, this is a celestial dragon." "What is a celestial dragon?" Helen asked. Phillips sat down heavily in one of the chairs. "Celestial dragons are not just rare. They are extinct. The last known celestial dragon died over 200 years ago. They were the most intelligent species in the galaxy, possibly more intelligent than humans or any other known race." Danny held Luna closer. "But she is not extinct. She is right here. That is what makes this so incredible," Phillips said. "Celestial dragons were once revered by an ancient civilization called the Ethians. The dragons could do things that seemed like magic. They could manipulate gravity fields, create protective energy barriers, and most remarkably, they could heal other living beings through some form of bioenergy transfer." Luna chirped softly and nuzzled against Danny's cheek. She seemed to understand that they were talking about her. The celestial dragons were hunted to extinction by various groups who wanted to exploit their abilities. Phillips continued. "Some people wanted to use them as weapons. Others wanted to study them to steal their powers. The last few dragons went into hiding, but eventually they all died out, or so we thought. So Luna is special? Danny asked. Special does not begin. To describe it, Philip said, if this really is a celestial dragon, she represents the return of an entire species that we thought was lost forever. The scientific and historical importance of this discovery cannot be measured. Danny did not like the way Commander Phillips was looking at Luna. It reminded him of the way the alien trader had looked at her, like she was a valuable object instead of a living being. What happens now? Roy asked. Phillips stood up and straightened. His uniform. I am sorry, but Luna needs to be turned over to the Xenobiology Institute on Central Station. They have the facilities and expertise to properly study her. This could be the key to understanding an entire lost civilization. No, Danny said firmly. Luna stays with me. She is my friend, not some experiment. Son, I understand how you feel, Philip said gently. But this is bigger than what any one person wants. This dragon could help us learn things that could benefit the entire galaxy. The knowledge we could gain from studying her species could advance science by centuries. Luna seemed to understand what Phillips was saying. Her scales began changing colors rapidly, cycling through blues and purples and silvers. She made worried chirping sounds and pressed closer to Danny. She is scared, Danny said. She does not want to go to some laboratory. The Institute will take good care of her, Philip said. She will have the best possible environment and medical care. But she will not have me, Danny said, tears starting to form in his eyes. She will not have her family. Phillips looked uncomfortable. I know this is hard, Danny, but sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the greater good. Your dragon could help us understand mysteries that have puzzled scientists for centuries. Danny's parents looked at each other with worried expressions. They knew there was nothing they could do to fight the galactic peacekeepers. If Luna was really as important as Philip said, they would have to give her up. How long do we have? Helen asked. I will need to contact my superiors and arrange for proper transport, Philip said. Probably 2 days. But Danny, you need to understand that this is not optional. Luna will be coming with us when we leave. After the peacekeepers left the ship, the Martinez family sat in the main cabin in silence. Danny held Luna in his lap, stroking her soft scales. The dragon seemed to sense that something terrible was going to happen. I am sorry, son, Roy said finally. I know how much Luna means to you. She is not just a pet, Danny said. She is my best friend. We understand each other. How can they just take her away? Sometimes the needs of many people are more important than what one person wants, Helen said gently. If Luna really can help scientists learn important things, maybe it is worth the sacrifice. But Danny did not agree. Luna was not just a scientific specimen. The next day passed slowly for Danny. He spent every moment with Luna, knowing that Commander Phillips would return soon to take her away. The dragon seemed to understand what was happening. She stayed close to Danny and made soft, sad sounds. Whenever he looked upset, Danny's parents tried to act normal, but he could see the worry in their eyes. Lisa kept checking her tablet for messages, hoping maybe the peacekeepers had changed their minds. But deep down, everyone knew that tomorrow Luna would be gone. That evening, as the family sat down for dinner, Luna did something she had never done before. Instead of sitting on Danny's shoulder like usual, she flew to the center of the table and landed in front of everyone. Her scales began to glow with a soft, warm light. What is she doing? Lisa asked, staring at the dragon. The glow from Luna's scales grew brighter. The light was not harsh or blinding. Instead, it felt peaceful and calming, like sunlight on a warm day. Everyone at the table felt a strange sense of comfort wash over them. I have never seen her do that before, Danny said, reaching out to touch Luna gently. As soon as Danny's fingers made contact with Luna's glowing scales, something incredible happened. Images began flashing through his mind. Not his own memories, but something else entirely. He saw vast star systems he had never visited. Ancient cities with buildings that seemed to float in the air. Creatures of amazing beauty flying through. Crystal clear skies. "Danny, what is wrong?" his mother asked, noticing that his eyes had gone wide and unfocused. But Danny could not answer. The images in his mind were becoming clearer and more detailed. He saw a dying planet where the last members of an ancient race were hiding their most precious possessions. Dragon eggs, carefully protected in hidden chambers deep underground. Luna was showing him her memories. Not just her own memories, but the memories of her entire species, passed down through generations. Danny saw the truth about what had happened to the celestial dragons. They had not been hunted to extinction by accident. A group of beings called the Devourers had systematically tracked down every celestial dragon in the galaxy. They wanted to steal the dragon's life energy to make themselves immortal. The last dragons had fought bravely, but there were too few of them left to survive. Before the final dragon died, she had hidden dozens of eggs in secret places throughout the galaxy. Each egg was programmed with the memories and knowledge of the entire species. The dragons hoped that someday, when it was safe, their children would hatch and restore their race to the stars. Luna had been one of those eggs. She had hatched alone on a forgotten world and spent months searching for others of her kind. When she found none, she had allowed herself to be captured by traders, hoping to find someone worthy of her trust. Someone who would help her fulfill her species' final mission. The images in Danny's mind shifted to show him something that made his heart race. Hidden throughout the galaxy were dozens of other dragon eggs, still waiting to hatch. They needed someone to find them and bring them to safety. But not just anyone could do this work. The eggs would only respond to someone the dragons trusted. Completely. Luna had been testing Danny from the moment he bought her. Every act of kindness, every moment of care, every sacrifice he had made for her well-being had been evaluated. Celestial dragons did not bond with people randomly. They chose their partners based on pure intention, selfless love, and the willingness to put others before themselves. Danny's decision to spend his last $4 to save a dying creature he had never seen before had proven his character. His months of dedicated care had confirmed Luna's choice. She had found her partner. Mental connection grew stronger. Luna was not just showing Danny images now. She was communicating directly with his thoughts, sharing knowledge that no human had ever possessed. The locations of the hidden eggs, the ancient dragon language, the secrets of their incredible abilities. Most importantly, Luna was asking Danny a question. Would he help her save her species? Would he become not just her friend, but her true partner in the most important mission in galactic history? Danny felt tears rolling down his cheeks as he understood what Luna was offering him. She was not just a pet or even a friend. She was asking him to become the first human dragon guardian in thousands of years. "Yes," Danny whispered. "I will help you save them all." The glow from Luna's scales suddenly became much brighter. The warm light filled the entire room, and Danny's family felt a wave of peace and happiness unlike anything they had ever experienced. For a moment, it was as if all the love and hope in the universe was flowing through their small dining area. The light faded, and Luna looked exhausted. She had used a tremendous amount of energy to share her memories and make the mental connection with Danny. She collapsed onto the table, breathing heavily, but still conscious. "Danny, what just happened?" Roy asked. His voice sounded different, calmer and more peaceful than before. "Luna showed me the truth," Danny said, gently picking up the tired dragon. "She is not the last of her kind. There are others waiting to be found, but they need our help." Danny explained everything he had seen in Luna's memories. His family listened in amazement as he described the hidden eggs, the ancient mission, and Luna's choice to make him her partner. So she chose you? Helen asked. Out of everyone in the galaxy, she chose an 8-year-old boy from a cargo ship? She chose someone with a good heart, Danny said. Someone who would save a dying creature, even when it cost everything he had. Lisa shook her head in wonder. This is incredible, Danny. But what about Commander Phillips? He is still going to. Take Luna away tomorrow. Danny looked down at Luna, who was recovering her strength in his arms. No, he is not, he said with determination. Luna is my partner now. We have work to do. The next morning, Commander Phillips returned to the Starward Bound with 2 other peacekeepers and a special transport container designed to hold exotic creatures safely during space travel. He expected to find the Martinez family sadly saying goodbye to their pet dragon. Instead, he found them waiting for him in the main cabin with calm, confident expressions. Luna sat on Danny's shoulder, her scales shimmering with a soft inner light. I trust you have said your goodbyes, Phillips said, though he felt a little uncomfortable with how peaceful everyone seemed. We need to transfer the dragon to our research vessel. Actually, Commander, Roy said, we need to talk to you about something that happened last night. Phillips frowned. What kind of something? Danny stood up, with Luna still perched on his shoulder. Luna is not going to the research station, he said calmly. She has more important work to do. Son, we discussed this yesterday, Phillips said firmly. The dragon needs to be studied by scientists. This is not negotiable. What if I told you that Luna is not the only celestial dragon left in the galaxy? Danny asked. Phillips stared at him. What do you mean? There are dozens of dragon eggs hidden throughout the galaxy, Danny continued. They have been waiting for centuries to hatch. Luna knows where they are, but they will only respond to someone the dragons trust. Someone like me. Phillips looked skeptical. How could you possibly know that? In response, Luna began to glow again. The same warm light that had filled the room the night before now surrounded Danny and the dragon. Phillips and his men felt the incredible sense of peace and love that the dragon's energy projected. But more than that, Luna was sharing some of her memories with Phillips as well. Not as deeply as she had with Danny, but enough to show him the truth. Images of the hidden eggs flashed through the commander's mind. Ancient dragon knowledge that could benefit all species in the galaxy. The incredible potential of restoring an entire lost civilization. When the light faded, Phillips was staring at Danny and Luna with new understanding. They really chose you, didn't they? He said quietly. Yes, sir, Danny replied. And we have a mission to complete. Phillips was quiet for a long moment. He had spent his entire career following regulations and enforcing galactic law. But what he had just experienced was beyond anything covered in the Peacekeeper Manual. This was about the survival of an entire species, and possibly the advancement of galactic civilization itself. I need to contact my superiors, Phillips said finally. This situation is far more complex than anyone realized. Phillips stepped outside the ship to make his calls, while Danny and his family waited nervously. Luna remained calm, as if she knew everything would work out according to plan. 30 minutes later, Phillips returned with an expression of amazement on his face. Danny, he said, I have just had the most unusual conversation of my career with the head of the Galactic Council. What did they say? Danny asked. Phillips smiled for the first time since Danny had met him. They said that if a celestial dragon has chosen a human partner for the first time in recorded history, then perhaps we should listen to what the dragon has to say. Danny felt his heart leap with joy. Does that mean Luna can stay with me? It means much more than that, Phillips said. Danny Martinez, by the authority of the Galactic Council, you are hereby appointed as the first official human dragon ambassador. In galactic history, your mission is to work with Luna to locate and protect the remaining celestial dragons, and to establish formal diplomatic relations between our species. 2 weeks later, the starward bound looked completely different from the simple cargo ship it had been before. Galactic Council engineers had installed new communication equipment, advanced sensors, and protective shields. The ship's hull had been reinforced and painted with official diplomatic markings. Most importantly, they had built a special chamber for Luna that could expand as she continued to grow. Danny stood in Luna's new room, watching his dragon friend practice her flying. She was now almost the size of a large dog, and her abilities were becoming stronger every day. She could hover in the air for several minutes, create small balls of glowing energy with her claws, and communicate telepathically with Danny whenever she wanted. "Are you ready for our first mission?" Danny asked, scratching Luna under her chin the way she liked. Luna chirped happily and projected feelings of excitement and determination into Danny's mind. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. Today they would search for the first hidden dragon egg. According to Luna's inherited memories, there was an egg hidden on a planet called Zephyr Prime in the Outer Rim. The planet had once been home to a peaceful farming community, but it had been abandoned 50 years ago when the soil became too contaminated to grow crops. Now it was empty except for ruins and wild plants that had grown over everything. Captain Roy Martinez entered Luna's chamber, carrying a tablet with their flight plan. "We will reach Zephyr Prime in 6 hours," he told Danny. "Commander Phillips and his security team will meet us there to make sure the area is safe." Danny nodded. Even though he was now an official ambassador, his parents still worried about his safety. The Galactic Council had insisted on providing security escorts for all of their missions, especially after receiving reports that some dangerous groups were interested in capturing celestial dragons. "Have you told Luna what to expect when we find the egg?" Roy asked. "She already knows," Danny said. "The eggs are programmed to respond to her presence. When Luna gets close enough, the egg will begin to hatch. But the baby dragon inside might be scared and confused. Luna will need to teach it about the modern galaxy and help it understand its purpose." Roy shook his head in amazement. Even after 2 weeks, he still could not believe that his 8-year-old son had become one of the most important people in the galaxy. The story of the boy who spent $4 to save a dying dragon had spread throughout human space and beyond. Danny received messages of support from people on hundreds of worlds, but Danny did not care about being famous. He only cared about helping Luna save her species and bringing the celestial dragons back to the stars where they belonged. The journey to Zephyr Prime was smooth. Luna spent most of the time sharing more memories with Danny, teaching him about dragon history and culture. He learned that celestial dragons had once been teachers and protectors for dozens of different species. They had helped civilizations develop technology, resolve conflicts, and explore the universe peacefully. "That is why it is so important to bring them back," Luna communicated to Danny through their mental link. "The galaxy needs their wisdom and guidance now more than ever." When they arrived at Zephyr Prime, Commander Phillips was waiting with 2 security ships. The planet looked sad and empty from space. What had once been green farmland was now brown and gray. Abandoned cities dotted the surface like old scars. "The location Luna indicated is in the northern continent," Phillips reported over the radio. "My teams have scanned the area and found no signs of current habitation. However, there are some unusual energy readings coming from underground." Danny and Luna rode down to the planet's surface in a small shuttle with Roy and Helen. As they flew over the abandoned landscape, Danny felt sad thinking about all the families who had once lived here. But Luna projected feelings of hope into his mind, reminding him that they were here to bring new life to this empty world. They landed near the coordinates Luna had provided The area looked like it had once been a park in the center of a small town. Now it was overgrown with twisted vines and strange purple flowers. Old buildings surrounded the area, their windows dark and empty. "The egg is underneath that hill," Luna told Danny, pointing with her wing toward a small rise in the center of the former park. Commander Phillips deployed his security teams around the perimeter, while Danny, Luna, and the Martinez family approached. The hill. Luna's scales began to glow softly as they got closer. She was responding to the presence of another dragon, even one that had not hatched yet. "Right here," Luna said, landing on a specific spot near the top of the hill. Phillips brought out scanning equipment and confirmed that there was a hollow chamber about 10 feet underground. "There is definitely something down there," he reported. "The energy signature matches what we detected from orbit." It took 2 hours to carefully dig down to the chamber. They used small tools and worked slowly to avoid damaging anything inside. Finally, they broke through into a circular room carved out of solid rock. Danny climbed down into the chamber with Luna on his shoulder. The room was beautiful, with walls covered in symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. In the center of the room sat a single egg on a pedestal made of crystal. The egg was about the size of a football, with a shell that looked like it was made of polished silver. As Luna approached it, the shell began to pulse with gentle light, matching the rhythm of Luna's own glow. "It knows we are here," Luna told Danny excitedly. Luna flew to the egg and landed gently next to it. She began to sing, making musical sounds that Danny had never heard before. It was the traditional hatching song of the celestial dragons, passed down through their genetic memories. As Luna sang, the egg began to crack. Thin lines of golden light appeared on its surface, spreading like a spider web. The light grew brighter, and Danny could hear soft chirping sounds coming from inside. With a sound like a bell ringing, the egg split open. Inside was the tiniest dragon Danny had ever seen, even smaller than Luna had been when he first bought her. This baby dragon had scales that shifted from gold to green to blue, and its eyes were like tiny emeralds. The newborn dragon looked around the chamber with confusion and fear. It had never seen the world before, and everything was strange and frightening. But when it saw Luna, its expression changed to one of joy and recognition. Luna immediately began communicating with the baby dragon, sharing memories and knowledge through their mental connection. She showed the newborn about the modern galaxy, about humans and other species, and about their mission to restore the celestial dragons. "What should we call him?" Danny asked, watching the two dragons interact. Luna considered for a moment. "His name is Nova," she told Danny. "It means new star. He will help us find the other eggs and teach the young dragons about their heritage." Over the next few hours, Nova quickly adapted to his new existence. Like all celestial dragons, he was incredibly intelligent and learned fast. By the time they returned to the ship, he was already flying short distances and communicating simple thoughts to both Luna and Danny. "One down, dozens to go," Philip said as they prepared to leave Zephyr Prime. But Danny felt incredibly proud as he watched Luna teaching Nova how to eat synthesized protein and sleep in a comfortable nest. They had successfully found their first dragon and brought new life to an empty world. Over the following months, the crew of the Starward Bound traveled throughout the galaxy, following Luna's inherited memories to find more hidden eggs. Each mission was an adventure. Some eggs were hidden in ancient ruins on forgotten worlds. Others were buried in asteroid fields or hidden in the depths of gas giant moons. Each new dragon they found was unique. Some had scales that changed color with their emotions. Others could create beautiful patterns of light in the air. A few could even become invisible for short periods of time. But all of them were incredibly intelligent and eager to learn about their purpose in the galaxy. Danny learned to communicate with each new dragon. becoming not just their protector, but their teacher and friend. He helped them understand human customs and technology. He taught them about the different species they would encounter in the modern galaxy. Most importantly, he helped them understand that they were not alone anymore. The dragons, in turn, shared their ancient knowledge with Danny and his family. They taught him about advanced mathematics, energy manipulation, and ways of understanding the universe that human science had never discovered. They showed him how to see the connections between all living things and how to use those connections to help others. As their group of dragons grew, so did their reputation throughout the galaxy. Species that had been enemies for centuries began working together when they saw how the dragons could help them resolve their conflicts peacefully. Pirates and raiders found other work when dragon-protected ships proved impossible to attack. Entire star systems requested visits from the dragon ambassadors to help them solve problems that had seemed impossible. 1 year after, Danny had spent his $4 at the trading station. The starward bound was no longer just a diplomatic vessel. It had become the mobile headquarters for the most important peacekeeping mission in galactic history.